Narcissists cannot be around functional behavior. Functional interactions, functional living. Normal or functional is kind of hard to define. So I'm going to give it kind of a bare bones definition. The processing and communication of emotions. So that is between two people, both acknowledge their feelings and both share them with each other, fully and entirely. That is, they both know how the other feels, and they both have a way of accepting their feelings about things and sharing it with each other. The emotions have a way of expressing themselves, and they get out there, and there's a communication about it. There's a transmission about it. That has to be there. That is what narcissists can't do. That is what their entire problem is psychologically, from what I can tell. That is the most accurate and comprehensive description, I think, of their problem, of their disorder, of their dysfunctional pattern of behavior. They simply can't be around healthy people for a prolonged period of time. They can be around those people for a short period of time in a social setting, or maybe to fool or manipulate in a limited sense. That is, that they can have a relationship with those kinds of people, but it's not really fleshed out. And that's because, one, people like that are going to pick up on what's wrong with a narcissist, even if they don't know what's wrong. They will listen to their instincts. They will get all kinds of signals, even if they just feel it in their gut, as to what's going on. It'll be an instinctual thing. So it's that fundamental level of communication again. And moreover, the narcissist knows that they can't really get anything from those people. They're pretty good at vetting and weeding out those who are good prospects for abuse and their control. So it simply doesn't work out that well. Those people won't put up with him, and the narcissist knows that they can't get what they want out of them for that reason. And so this idea extends further into the narcissist environment, which is that the functional principles, a lack of censorship, people are open with each other, that kind of environment simply cannot exist around the narcissist. It simply doesn't happen. They erode it. But because of the potential of the enablers to allow them to erode it, that is what the narcissist picks up on in the beginning. And that allows them to perceive, figure out, tinker with everything to see how they can displace how they can move all that out, all the functional stuff that they don't like. Boundaries, personal boundaries, privacy, all that stuff is really, really challenging to the narcissist's goals, which is to be able to access you and mess with you at any time. There should be no exception. There should be no rules in place stipulating that they can't do what they want to do. There cannot be any regulations or obligations imposed upon them. That simply cannot happen, especially if they're functional. If it has to do with protecting the integrity, emotional integrity of the people in question. So the enablers, for instance, really the victims of the environment, the people, the food for the narcissist, the people who are sustaining them and supplying them. That simply can't happen. And that's where you see a little bit more interesting, nuanced relationships between the narcissist supply and your self-esteem. There's a correlation between them. And you would probably call it, roughly, an inverse relationship. And that is, the better you feel about yourself, the worse off they are, the worse they feel. These relationships between our people's different feelings, they have correlations, and the relationship these feelings kind of have between each other, everybody's respective feelings, is sort of negative. If someone feels good, the narcissist will feel bad because it spells out less control for them. Because the environment that allows them to foster that control, that allows them to manipulate people, is going to be one with a lot of bad feelings, a lot of chaos, and a lot of vendettas and petty grudges against people. And that also allows the narcissist to go about hurting others for their benefit, for their own benefit, without being seen, without being spotted, because that's what they don't want to happen. It's the divide and conquer strategy that they're putting in place here. And once you start noticing that everything they avoid, everything they seek to destroy, kind of their ultimate enemy, is functional relations. Functional relations that really embody healthy thinking within people. People that can grow and change and solve problems and work things out. It's not easy. It's not that it isn't painful or that it feels good all the time, but that it's this process that you can do, that they simply can't. That growth and change and that progress, that personal improvement, when you better yourself and you start to improve yourself, I think what creates their fear of it is that it spells out that something is wrong with them. And that is the only conclusion. There must be something terribly wrong with them. And I think that's what scares them. That really fundamental principle, once it's in your mind and you start to think about things that way, everything starts to make sense. That's why the word comprehensive comes to mind. It really explains everything. Every decision they make, every personal decision they make with you and others, that is what is driving them. The avoidance and destruction of functional behavior. It simply cannot be tolerated if they are to flourish and install their controlling regime and maintain the illusion. Because the illusion is not about truth and mutual cooperation and basically loving other people. It's all against that. It has to maintain that facade in order to survive and fool people. At the same time, really bearing out and living that contradiction of doing the exact opposite.